Association, Mr. Arvind Mehta, the Chairman of the Governing Council and Chairman of AMTEC, Mr. Jayesh Rambia, Co-Chairman, all the distinguished participants at this second technology conference for growth of the plastic industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, my apologies for not being able to come to Mumbai today. I had very much planned a visit both for the programs yesterday and today, but due to emergent requirements to be in Delhi, particularly due to my engagement with several free trade agreements, which I hope will be an opportunity for your industry also to grow significantly. And the negotiations underway at different levels in different countries. I was not able to travel to my home city today, missed an opportunity, but truly delighted to be a part of your conference, which is focusing primarily on promoting import substitution in the plastic industry. Yours is one industry that increasingly brings hope, pride, and a sense of self-reliance, Atmanirbharta. The domestic sector has done well. Of course, there's tremendous potential to grow even further, but your contribution to making India a developed nation will be absolutely unparalleled, will be very, very invaluable. And I do hope to see a significant growth in the years to come for the plastic sector. The MSME part of the industry, the micro, small and medium sector players, which comprises, I'm told, nearly 90% of your industry, will play a very key role in its development. I'm happy to know that many MSME units are also represented in today's event, who will be engaging on how technology and technological advancements can further help the growth of this sector in the years to come. Friends, I think we are all aware that India has changed dramatically in the last 9 years. From a fragile 5 economy barely 9-10 years ago, one amongst the 5 weakest economies in the world, we are today the 5th largest economy. Very much on track to become the 3rd largest GDP in the world over the next maybe 4 years. This journey has been a very interesting journey for 3 or 4 reasons. One, this journey entailed strengthening the macroeconomic fundamentals of India, ensuring the orderly development of different aspects of the Indian economy, which are the foundation or the building blocks of sustained long-term growth. For example, I still recall in 2013, there was a foreign exchange crisis, and the then government was forced to borrow through FCNRE deposits at exorbitant interest rates, only to sustain the value of our currency. Over the last few years, we have not only paid that exorbitant interest rate, but also largely repaid all those deposits. And yet, over the last 9 years, maintained sanity in our foreign currency valuations. We've certainly seen a stress over the last 1.5 year, particularly due to the Ukraine war. But I do believe, other than the US, which is continuing with significant quantitative easing, the Indian currency maintains its strength vis-a-vis most other international currencies. During this period, India saw the lowest ever in our history decade of low inflation. Last 9-year inflation is averaging at a CAGR of about 4.5% or thereabouts, something which has never happened in the past. Again, the Ukraine war and the stress that it caused, particularly in terms of elevated inflation in the developed world, has certainly had its impact in India. We saw some elevated months of inflation in India too, but are now down to sub 5% and within the 2 to 6% range that was mandated by the Modi government way back in 2014-15. Also, for the first time, where Reserve Bank was given the powers, given the responsibility of ensuring that inflation remains at 4%. That our interest rates significantly came down during this period. Even now, when they have gone up in the last year or so, year and a half, because of these elevated levels of inflation worldwide, and to maintain equilibrium with other economies, I do believe that the stress on the Indian interest rates has been relatively less when compared to other countries. We know of developed economies which were used to 1 or 2% inflation and almost 0 or 1% interest rates are today struggling with 8 or 9 or 10% inflation, and with interest rates in many cases today higher than what we have to pay in India. Only yesterday, an industrialist was telling me that they prefer to borrow in India now with getting lower interest costs than their borrowing costs in Europe or America. Friends, we saw our GDP consistently growing over this period. Last year's growth was contraindicatory to most other economies, including the developed world, where we grew by over 7%, the fastest growing large economy in the world. But over the next 30 odd years, when we will continue to be the beneficiary of our demographic dividend, where we will continue to see large demand of goods and services in the country with a growing level of aspiration of 1.4 billion Indians, we believe this is our golden period, our Amrit Kal, the next 25 years, when we can take our economy from a 3 trillion odd economy to a $35 trillion economy by 2047, when we celebrate 100 years of independence. Friends, you are all a part of the growth story of exports. Whilst our exports were almost stagnant at about $500 billion, goods and services, for almost a decade until 1920, I'm happy to report to you that in the last 2 years, 21-22 and 22-23, we were able to grow our exports from about $500 billion to $776 billion last year. In only 2 years, we've changed the paradigm of our international engagement. Whilst with the growing problems of the developed world, looming recession in many countries of Europe and the West, I am told that exports and export orders are a little slow in the first quarter this year. I'm also advised by exporters during my engagement with them earlier this week that they expect this situation to change, the overhang on the developed economies to get over, done and dusted by September, and we hope to see the third and the fourth quarter making up for some of the shortfalls of the current year so far. Plastic exports last year were at about $12 billion. I personally feel there's huge potential to grow. Only yesterday, I was checking in to see what is the labor component on the plastic industry. And I do believe that all of you have significant potential to add business opportunities, jobs for the young boys and girls of India, opportunities of work, help us grow the entire ecosystem of the plastic sector over the next few years. And we shall always be ready and happy to listen to your suggestions for the orderly growth of this industry in the years to come. In fact, only last year, we concluded 2 FTAs with Australia and UAE. We are currently in active negotiation with many other developed countries and are looking to engage with the developed world more significantly, because that is where the large business opportunities lie. I think, given our competitive edge, our plastic industry can significantly use the FTAs and expand your product basket, access newer markets, promote greater exports. I was told the UAE alone imports about $5 billion worth of plastic goods. Australia, about $6 billion. It just shows you the potential which you can engage with and leverage. The world today looks upon India as a trusted partner. We are becoming more and more quality conscious as a nation. We are introducing significant quality checks and quality control orders to stop the production or consumption, whether domestic or imported, of substandard, low quality, often underpriced goods, which tend to hurt the plastic industry, which tend to hurt our consumers' interests, which tend to make the country's reputation a low quality, substandard quality manufacturing country image, which we are working along with your industry to change. And I would welcome your suggestions in how we can further improve quality in the system, what we can do together to bring about consciousness of quality. I, for one, believe quality comes at almost no cost. Quality is good for the industry. It helps you expand your scale of operation, gives you economies of scale, helps reduce waste, helps reduce the overall cost of production, and all it needs is a mindset accepting that we have to give the best quality to our consumers. Over the last 9 years, from 2014 to 22, 8 years, we introduced 29 new quality control order products, which are covered by QCOs. Until 2013, there were 2 issued in the previous decade. And because of that, we saw a huge influx of low quality substandard goods in the market, both imported or sometimes domestic, and which has hurt the interests of India's consumers, India's domestic manufacturing sector, and India's economy. We have also uploaded 23 new product QCOs at the WTO, and overall approved 55 products to come under QCOs. All of these will gradually help giving you a level playing field with the developed world, open up new opportunities in the developed world, and stave off unfair competition that our Indian domestic plastic industry often faces. Friends, import substitution should come at an economical, viable cost. Import substitution is not something which should rest on the shoulders of government intervention or high duties, because that tends to disturb the overall product competitiveness of Indian goods at the macro level. Ultimately, all the products that you make are intermediate or go into some finished product. An automobile might be taking a lot of plastic goods, a washing machine, a dishwasher, an electronic component may be going into some electronic good. Plastics have an all-pervading influence on the overall cost competitiveness of India. And therefore, I think our story of Atmanirbharta, self-reliance, and resilience will have to go on the back of our economic competitiveness. We have the example of the toys, where we found that most toys coming into India from certain geographies were of very low substandard quality. We introduced strict quality control orders. We've done our test checks and continuously monitored the goods being sold across the country. Customs authorities are looking at quality carefully of goods coming in. And the result is that the import of toys decreased by 70% last year, whereas we could export 61% more toys from India, entirely due to our focus on ensuring quality and the industry's commitment to make goods at competitive prices. This also results in huge employment generation throughout the value chain, where domestic production gets greater abilities to compete in the world markets. With this, we will also be able to eliminate a lot of problems that the industry faces in terms of non-competitive or non-transparent, opaque practices that are followed by certain countries. Friends, as you may be aware, more and more people in India are coming into the middle class, and the aspirations of young India are growing. The basic needs of every individual being met: food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, good education, digital connectivity, electricity at home and at workplace, in the farms, road connectivity, greater degree of infrastructure all across the country. All of these has made today's young Indian a person who aspires for a better and a higher quality of life. Therefore, your markets will grow in the years to come. India will also become a global destination for manufacturing, for innovation, for investments, and new opportunities. Many countries in the world are now creating India strategies, are looking at engaging and investing more in India, attracted particularly by the significant efforts made for ease of doing business. When I did a study of the profitability and growth of companies around the world, we found that the Indian market and Indian businesses are able to offer investors higher growth, higher profitability, and better asset utilization, given our huge demand coming from this young population. I can assure you that the government is very sensitive to the potential of the industry as well as to the problems of the industry. We are always happy to engage with you, see how we can also contribute to sustainability and sustainable growth together, how we can look at the circular economy, how we can support recycling of plastic waste or reuse of plastic raw material, how we can make the disposal of plastic waste more effective and efficient. Whilst the global average rate of recycling is just 9%, in fact, in some of the developed economies, it's as low as 4%. India outshines with about 13% of our plastic being recycled. We would love to see this number grow exponentially in the near future. Friends, your vision, your mission for a future course should be like as moldable as the plastic material itself. It should mold itself with emerging times, emerging needs of the world, with newer ideas, newer technologies. It should look at collaboration with stakeholders, greater degree of research and development, so that we become globally competitive and also offer sustainable products to global supply chains which are looking for a trusted partner like you. For all of this, innovation is the key. Our startups who often leverage new technologies and innovation to imbibe zero effect and zero defect in our manufacturing ecosystem can also help us come up with newer ideas both for disposal and reuse of waste and to improve our productivity and production processes. As the Honorable Prime Minister has articulated and made the theme of our G20 presidency, people, planet, and progress. As we focus on the circular economy, where we are looking at reduce, reuse, and recycle of waste. I think you may all remember Prime Minister Modi wearing that blue jacket made out of plastic waste, sustainable textile material to Parliament. We are in a way unbottling the immense potential for your industry. I hope in the years to come, the renewable and solar energy sector will also be able to see greater number of plastic components and help solar panels and other equipment associated with solar power, wind power, hydropower, which are going to grow by leaps and bounds, or our hydrogen ecosystem. All of them also will be able to use good plastic material. I hope each one of you will come up with new designs, new products, new raw material developed from your stable, which will make our products a global industry. Let us be more vocal for global. Let us engage with the world with self-confidence, with resilience, with sustainability at our core, and the confidence to be able to match, if not exceed, the best in the world. In the next 5 years, let's aim to expand our contribution to the GDP of India. Let's aim to triple the plastic industry in the next 10 years. Let's aim to double the employment that the plastic industry provides to the people of India, along with doubling of India's exports to the world. Friends, let's seize this moment to unleash our potential, to pioneer sustainable practices and redefine the narrative of the plastic industry. As the Honorable Prime Minister says, यही समय है, सही समय है. Let's go for it. Thank you very much for your patient listening and all the best to your conference on the growth of the plastic industry. Thank you.
Acha, sir has gone. Otherwise, let us give a standing ovation to his speech. That will be my request. Yeah.
I am here, I am watching you.
Yeah, you are here, sir.
I'm very
Okay.
much.
Sir, 500 delegates are here from all over India, and we are giving you a standing ovation. Highly thankful to you, sir. And we are honored that you have addressed us, sir. And we'll follow whatever you have said, circular economy and the growth, sir. So we are with you, sir, and kindly guide time to time and help us in the solving our problems, whatever small or big, whatever is there, kindly help us, sir. So, thank you.
If there are any issues, you are most welcome. Maybe once Parliament starts on the 20th, one of these days you can come down. Only yesterday I've talked to Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, also the Environment Minister, and I can assure you we'll be very, very sensitive to work together as partners in your progress. Thank you.
Lovely, sir. Lovely, Lord. Thank you very much, sir. And in the public forum, I am inviting you in our Plastivism exhibition that is from the December 5th. So you have to inaugurate that exhibition, sir, and that is our request. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I'll certainly try. It'll be Parliament time, incidentally, but I'll certainly make a best effort. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, sir. Yeah.
So, dear friends, thank you. We come to the end of this very interesting session with Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister. As we are getting delayed, we'll immediately start with our technical session 1. I would request our dignitaries to be seated.